And there we are. Hello.
Yes. Hi. We have a slight delay between Philippa
Hi,
and
everybody.
myself.
Welcome to our webinar on Wednesday. Oh, no, it's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. Yes, there's a bit of a delay, guys, so just bear with us. But it's Tuesday, and we, as promised, we are doing these short and sweet webinars for teachers during this week, culminating on Thursday, which is Teacher Appreciation Day. And we wanted to really honor and appreciate you, the teachers, even though you're on holiday. This is the week that you are having some downtime. And while you are having your downtime, we're going to give you a little bit of gold nuggets, things that you can take into your classroom when you start up again in the fourth term. So welcome to Education Services. Welcome to our webinar. I'm joined by my beautiful colleague, Leandri. Hi, Leandri.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. I'm excited to share about anxiety today. This is my favorite topic. I can speak forever on this topic. So
Yes.
without any further ado, we are going to jump right in, and we're going to have a few Q&A. And please, guys, I'm going to just encourage you to let us know you're watching. Pop a hello in the comments. Tell us where you teach. Tell us what grade you teach. Let's engage today. Let's engage and have a wonderful 20 minutes or so of talking about anxiety. All right. So,
Okay,
as I
so
said, from the 2nd to the 5th of October. Yep, go ahead.
okay, sorry. No, so we do have this from the 2nd to the 5th of October. We've got this webinar series. Tomorrow is learning barriers. Today we are talking about anxiety. So, Philippa, one of our questions, or one of the things that we've noticed, it seems as if COVID has had a massive impact on people's general mental health. So, how would you say, what are we seeing in schools? How did this influence children's anxiety in schools?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think we are sort of experiencing the aftermath of a national or a world pandemic. So it involves all of us. You know, we're all living in this anxious and stressed world, and I think we are trying to deal with all the stresses and worries, and obviously our children are seeing us stressed and anxious. And so automatically how we feel tends to brush off on our children. So in schools, we are seeing a pandemic of anxiety, you know. We're seeing that it is contagious and it spreads like wildfire. If you have one or two or three children who are very, very anxious in a classroom, it spreads to the others. And before you know it, you know, you really do have a lot of children who are visiting the school counselor or who are asking to go home because they're not feeling well. And often it's due to anxiety. And we must remember that some children are more predisposed to anxiety. We know that it is genetic, so it is inherited. And we just need to be aware that the home environments today are stressed. Parents have lost jobs. They're trying to catch up on work because of, COVID has sort of made us a lot more, I think, appreciative that we have jobs, but yet we are trying to catch up on time that we lost over the past, um, you know, 2-3 years or so.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely for children who's got their own health issues. I think COVID hit them a little bit harder, or if COVID influenced their family, and that definitely has a direct influence on academic performance.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, what would you say? What are teachers saying? What are they
Mm.
seeing in the classrooms?
Definitely. So I'm going to show you a slide of some sort of anxiety phases. So When you look at children, again, different characters, different personalities, you see different expressions on their faces because they're dealing with it in a different way. The way some boys deal with anxiety is different to how girls might be dealing with anxiety. So those are all faces of children who are experiencing anxiety. So I think if you look at this iceberg, it explains it really, really nicely that teachers are seeing things like defiance, aggression, anger outbursts, sometimes refusing to do work, avoiding work at all costs, having a negative attitude towards school and towards work, sometimes staying away from school, not wanting to come to school.
Hmm.
And then on the flip side, you would find children who are just not engaged. They're quiet, they're withdrawn, they don't really want to participate, and possibly they are in another world. They're trying to make sense of what's going on in their own little worlds, and so you get concentration problems, which often look like ADHD, right? But actually, it's an underlying anxiety disorder. And we also see this perfectionism that it has to be perfect. That it's not good enough to get, 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. We need to be getting 10 out of 10. And I'm going to rub out my work until I'm absolutely happy that it's 100% perfect. That perfectionism is also coming through there.
Yes, and I think children who feel tired all the time as well. I've seen a few kids, especially in the lower grades, coming to school and they lie on their arms and they're sleeping. That can also be anxiety,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
getting enough sleep.
for sure.
Yeah,
Mm,
yes.
100%. So yeah, so those are some of the common complaints from teachers, that these are what they're seeing in the classroom. So it's above the iceberg, and then what's below the iceberg are all the sort of underlying. If I just go back to that slide there, it's things like feeling helpless or feeling insecure. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm maybe I feel grief because maybe I've lost a family member, or my parents have gone through a divorce, or we're having to move home. Things like that is often what's underlying, what's under the surface. And then those are the common complaints from teachers.
Definitely, and I think it's always important for teachers to always remember as well that anxiety is not only a behavioral problem; it can be noted in the child's social interaction and their emotional
Mm,
regulation as well. And you see changes in these things. A child who was well adapted all of a sudden
mm,
cries a lot, or sleeps a lot, or is not socializing as much anymore, or whatever the case may be. And I think
mm,
a lot of many times we see it while a child with exam anxiety. I don't know if we're still going to get to that, but with exam anxiety, when children study at home and they get everything right, and the moment they get to the exam or the assessment, they can't cope.
mm,
They're not finishing the work. They're getting everything wrong. That's another type of thing that I think
yeah.
we see in classes and in schools as well. So, with all of this in mind, what advice would you give to parents and teachers?
So I think it's important for teachers to understand what anxiety is, the causes, the underlying issues that are manifesting in anxiety disorder. So the more we read about it and the more we educate ourselves, the better equipped we are to help. And I think it's important as teachers that we form that bond with our kids, with our students. Children don't mean to be rude and aggressive and have these anger outbursts. It's because of an underlying cause. We just maybe don't have the capacity or the maturity to explain what's going on below the surface or what's going on inside. And so we might seem to be naughty or just not wanting to toe the line. So I think the first step there as a teacher is just to educate yourself, form a positive relationship, try to understand where the child's coming from, what is going on at home, what is the issue, what's the trigger that's causing the behavior to be either inappropriate or not acceptable. And then, importantly as well for us as parents, it's the same thing. We need to be, we monkey see, monkey do. We need to be cool, calm, and collected. We can't be running around, chicken without a head kind of syndrome, because our children are going to watch us and they're going to see how we handle stress and anxiety. And if we are not handling it very well, our children are not going to handle it very well either, right? So it's important
Yeah.
that we set the example. And if we need help, if I need to go and see a therapist, or if I need to contact my doctor because I'm not coping well with anxiety and I might need some treatment, then I need to do that. That's not a sign of weakness. That is a sign of strength and courage to say that I actually do need help. I'm not coping right now. And so it's better for me to get help than for my family to see me and witness me falling apart. So that's the second thing. The third thing, I think, as teachers, and again, we can use this at home too as parents, we need to provide this consistency and structure. If we are disorganized and if we are running late all the time and we're missing appointments, we're not on top of things, this is going to also provide an unstable environment that our children are trying to survive in. So very, very important is to, have visual schedules, put up timetables, provide clear instructions so that our children know what to do and they know what's expected. That's very, very important, I think, in the classroom and at home.
I think
And then, Leandri, the fourth
definitely.
thing is, and I think you and I both agree that movement breaks, having movement breaks,
Definitely.
and time between classes where they can move around and have a bit of downtime between lessons. That transition is so important, so that
Especially
they're
for
not
the younger
rushing
grades.
from one thing to another. They do need to slow
Yes.
down, yes, especially for the younger grades.
Yeah. And that the number three that you mentioned, that structure and consistency, I think that's important while um, doing exams and assessments as well. I think if a teacher is running around and getting all her papers together and feeling anxious herself, and then all of a sudden your children in your class needs to do assessments, I think your anxiety always reflects back to them as, oh, yeah, reflects onto them as well. So,
Yes.
and while studying, if we talk about exam anxiety, for children who struggle with anxiety, I think
Mm.
structure is so important. But yeah,
Yes.
I do agree with the movement breaks. It's always a very good thing, whether your child has anxiety or not. I think
Yeah.
children in classes, especially with younger grades, should move a lot. I think there should be
Yeah.
breaks. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also put there, have spaces where children can go to have timeouts. Not a timeout for punishment, but a timeout to just kind of reflect on how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling like this? What do I need? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to lie down? Do I need to, close my eyes and picture a happy place? What are the strategies that I need? So give me a quiet place to just calm down and gather myself. I think students need to be able to ask for that permission for that. And some children I know go to the bathroom. They go to the bathroom, splash some water on their face, have a drink of water, and on the way back they just sort of talking to themselves, self talk, maybe saying a mantra or something that can just help them reestablish themselves. And then the last thing is, I always say, give choices. You know, give choices to kids. If you know that they get anxious because they have to do an oral in front of the whole class, give them choices to say, well, come and say your oral to me at break time when the children have gone out to break. You come to me one on one and give me, let me assess you then. Or, let's talk about concessions. So let's talk about in an exam, giving extra time for a child who gets anxious because they're worried about running out of time. They're allowed 15
Yeah.
minutes per hour for anxiety. So those concessions need to be applied for, and teachers really, there's a process for that. Um, so I think those are the top five solutions that I would suggest um, going into term four, and understanding that term four is an exam term. It's a short term and it's jam packed,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think everybody feels that anxiety, is anxious some other way. Even parents, teachers, children, everyone, and everyone's tired at this time of the year as well. So I think just to give yourself as a teacher
Mm,
also a break,
mm.
that's important.
Yeah, and this is a strategy that I want to encourage us all to use. We can use it for ourselves if we're having a tough time, and teachers can use it if they see a child, having a moment or a panic attack in severe situations. We call it the calm strategy. So the visual there is literally you take four fingers and you place those four fingers on your wrist, on your pulse, or on the person's pulse, and you just speak to them in a low volume, low tone voice. So the fingers on the wrist immediately should feel cool, and it gives you a grounding. You're holding the person and you're saying, I'm here for you. I'm not gonna, this is your time to just stay calm. Be authentic with the person and accepting of how they're feeling. Speak to them in a low volume, low tone voice. Try and lower your volume, that you're not shouting at the person, but you're trying to just keep them calm. So cool and collected, authentic and accepting. Low volume, low tone is the L, and then the M is monitor. See if they are doing okay. And you might need to just repeat that strategy again. Is take your fingers away, and then put them on the wrist again, and feel that pulse again. Speak to them in a cool and collected voice. Be authentic and accepting of how they're feeling. Lower your voice, lower the volume, and monitor. And if you need to call a friend or call a teacher or call a parent or call somebody, then you do. But that calm strategy is something to just keep close at hand, that you might need to use it for yourself or somebody that you're seeing having a hard time.
Yeah, I think it's a very good strategy to use because I think most of the times when children feel overwhelmed and anxious, um, and it reflects as a or results into bad behavior, or disruptive behavior or whatever.
Mm,
I think that is a very good thing, not for teachers to lose their cool and to get frustrated and angry, but rather just to
mm.
calm down the situation and to navigate the child through it. Um, yeah, then this is a very good strategy to use for each
Try and nip
child.
it in the bud. Try and nip it in the bud, because the more
Mm.
you become anxious because somebody else is anxious, or somebody else is having a tough time, you having a tough time, and then other people are seeing more people having a tough time, and it just spreads. Like I said, it's quite
Yeah,
contagious if it doesn't get
the
contained.
snowball
That's the
effect.
most
Yeah,
important thing. Exactly, the snowball
yeah,
effect. All right, so we're coming to the end of our 20 minutes
yeah.
together. So before we go, we just want to tell you about our masterclass that is coming up on the 28th of October, which we would absolutely love teachers to sign up for. The topic is uncovering your teaching superpower, the 4 secrets to a happy classroom that feeds your soul and sets you up for long-term fulfillment. And I think teacher burnout is very real, and we are seeing many teachers sort of questioning if teaching is really the right profession for them or the right vocation for them. And often it just becomes overwhelming. And we just want to be able to give teachers some real advice and guidance on how you can hone in on your superpower, your teaching superpower, and use that to overcome some of the barriers that you might be having in the classroom. So what we want to encourage you to do is to WhatsApp that number or email us on info@educationservices.co.za right now. And if you email us the word masterclass, we will give you 30% off this masterclass cost. So it is 150 Rand, but if you sign up this week before the 5th of October, you only pay 105 Rand. So it's a real discount. And it is going to be 2 hours of real, absolute gold nuggets that you will be able to. We'll give you an exercise to do where you are going to try and identify your own superpower. So, what is your secret sauce? What makes you so special? And everybody's got a teaching superpower. That's unquestionable that you've got something that you do better than anyone else. And so we want to help you find that. So yes, it's 4 secrets to a happy classroom that feeds your soul and sets you up for long-term fulfillment. It's only 150 Rand, and it's on the 28th of October at 2 o'clock. So we really want to encourage you to consider signing up for that. There are limited spots, and obviously we need to just have you email us or WhatsApp the word masterclass, and then you are set to go. Is there anything else that I've forgotten about? Tomorrow we're having another webinar.
Yes, the learning barriers one. I'm excited about that one. But yeah, do we have any questions from anyone?
I don't see any questions at the moment, but we will certainly take more questions tomorrow. So we want to encourage you to join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock again on barriers. We're going to identify the main barriers that you are seeing in the classroom, and again, some tips and strategies that you can take into the classroom as you go into term 4. So, yes. On that note, thank you for joining us.
I think that is it. Thank you for your time, Philippa, and all your wisdom and knowledge that you're sharing. Yeah, I really do appreciate that.
It's a pleasure. There's just one more thing I didn't put up here, and that is we have a QR code for education services. Did you know that?
Yes, I didn't know
we
that.
have a QR
now
code.
I know.
So if anybody wants to scan that now, it immediately takes you to the Facebook Education Services group, although you would have already signed up to be on that group. But if you haven't, that is our QR code, and you can scan that or share that with somebody, and they can join the Education Services Facebook group. And we would love to be able to engage with you there. Right, so we're going to say goodbye.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you for joining me again.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Andrew, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Yes, sir. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.